My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my ranking of the Conjuring franchise from worst to best. And this video will have spoilers, so there's your warning. But I know people are harsh on these movies, but not me. I love this franchise. Like, this would be one of my favorite horror franchises ever, and it's just because they're fun movies. They're scary movies, and they just give me what I want from movies in this genre. Now, there are definitely a couple stinkers, but for the most part, they're pretty good, and I'm kind of bummed out. This franchise seems to be done. Like, I would have liked another Nun movie. I would have liked another Annabelle movie. I would have liked a Crooked Man movie. I would have liked a movie on that Possessed board game. I would have liked a Fairyman movie or a movie on The Bride in White. Like, there's so much potential here, and I could have gone for 20 more movies. But let's rank the movies we did get, and the worst one is a bit of a weird one because it's technically part of this franchise, but the studio also refuses to admit it, and it's The Curse of La Llorona. Now, a movie on La Llorona could have been really interesting, but this isn't that movie. This just feels generic in the worst way possible. It's never scary. It's instantly forgettable. And okay, look, I'm okay with some stupidity from the characters, but the scene where the daughter reaches for the doll outside the house at the end of this movie just pisses me off to no end. So, yeah, this movie just sucks. The second worst one is a huge disappointment, and it's Annabelle. Because the first Conjuring made an instant horror icon in Annabelle, and I loved the idea we were getting a movie focused on this evil doll, but you can tell this movie was rushed into production. The script isn't good, the acting is really weak, and the movie has some really bad skills. Now, that said, there is a scene in a basement directed by James Wan, and this scene is terrifying. This scene almost kind of saves the movie because it really gets to me. So there's one great moment and there's a few other decent moments, but as a whole, it's just a big disappointment. But that's the cutoff line. Those are the two movies I don't like. The rest range from okay to spectacular. So the eighth best movie here is The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. And this movie is directed by Michael Chavez instead of James Wan, and you can definitely tell. The skills here just aren't really all that effective. But I do like how they're trying to tell a different kind of story. Instead of a generic demon to go up against, it's focused on this witch. And it does kind of feel a bit fresh, a bit new in that regard. And there are some pretty decent moments. There's still some heart between the two leads here, so it's definitely a step down for the main quadrilogy in this franchise, but it is still a watchable movie. The seventh best one is the brand new The Conjuring Last Rites. And I found this movie to be so frustrating because I loved the first half. That opening scene of Judy being a stillborn and then coming back to life, I'll be honest, it made me cry. I thought it was such a powerful way to begin this final movie, and there was so much heart and emotion on display, and I really do love that aspect of this movie. I also love how when we get reintroduced to Ed and Lorraine Warren, nobody's really checking out their lectures. They've become a joke. They're making Ghostbusters jokes against them, and Ed isn't really doing good health-wise. It just makes you think about aging and all mortality. And meanwhile, Jodie and Toby are about to get married. And I'm just like, I really like the family dynamics at play. And there are some really good scary scenes in the first half of this movie when the mom's talking on the phone and it's getting tugged away, when she's in the basement and she's getting watched, but then she turns on the light and it's just a postal. The TV scene where the girl keeps rewinding and trying to see what blew out the candle, that scene is the highlight of this movie. Like, it reminds me of Sinister, or even Insidious Chapter 2 when they find old Josh in that old video. I just love scenes like this, and it kept going on and on and on, and it got to me. So there's definitely some impressive directing here, and I do like Mia Tomlinson as Jodie. She did a good job. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, of course, did a great job, and I do like Ben Hardy. But I thought the Schmores family were completely underdeveloped. Like, I never cared about this family as much as I should. And you do get one great scene where the daughter starts puking up blood and she has glass in her mouth. But then we don't see them for like 20 minutes. And then when we go back to them, they're like, this has happened and this has happened and this has happened. And I'm like, I feel like we just missed half the freaking movie. And then, I actually thought the one priest who dies was really effective. Like, Vera Farmiga's performance at his funeral was just terrific. But after that, when Judy goes to visit the family and Ed and Lorraine are skeptical and they don't want to, and they try to have this moment where Ed makes waffles for the family, and I don't know, like, it just felt so underdeveloped, and I really feel like this movie needed another rewrite because the structure and pacing were just off. Like, this movie, I honestly feel like you could have trimmed out a good 25-30 minutes here, and it would have made for a tighter, more effective watch. I also didn't really care for the ghost story. Like, this girl cheats on her husband and he kills her, but then I don't know, it's just not very interesting. It felt really generic, and I kind of like how the other movies in this franchise really kick it up a notch. And this one just felt like generic goals. I don't know, I missed the kitchen sink here. I missed the craziness that these movies usually offer. And I hate how this movie relies on Annabelle quite a bit. That one scene of her getting big, I don't know, like, it's kind of goofy in a fun way, but it's also so unneeded, but yeah. And the climax of this movie sucks. That scene when the meal gets up and spins around, most retarded image of this entire franchise. Like, not scary at all, and then that's the ending. Like, the climax is so abysmal, and it pisses me off because I checked out, but then we get Judy and Toby's wedding, and the families from the other movies are there, and you get to see the lives this family has impacted, and Lorraine tells Ed about her vision of the rest of their lives, and it's such a beautiful note to end this franchise on, and I really wish the world getting to that point was better. I also was kind of confused that the meal gets destroyed. So I thought, okay, like, this is what happens when you destroy the vessel. The demons are loose. But then they reintroduce the meal again. Just a really baffling decision. But I forgot to mention, the dress store scene is really good as well. So there's plenty to love here. It's still a fine watch, but man, this movie's a bit of a mess, unfortunately. The sixth best movie of this franchise is going to be a hot take, but it's The Nun. Now, the characters aren't the best here, and there's some bad jump scares, but there are some really effective moments, and look, I'll just say it, Phallic is terrifying, so anytime I see her in a movie, I get a little bit creeped out. Like, yeah, and I like how this movie has, like, dead nuns, it has nuns on fire, cold nuns, you just get nuns of every sort here. I like the entire plot where they have to look for the blood of Jesus. That's campy in the right way. I actually do love the twist where it turns out everybody is dead. And I love the look of this movie. It's just so gorgeous and gothic, and I love the music that plays. Like, it's not a home run, but this movie is far better than it gets recognition for. And that's another cutoff line because from this point on, I love the rest of this franchise. And the fifth best one is Annabelle Comes Home. And I just like how this feels like a Goosebumps movie for adults. I love how there's so much going on with Annabelle the doll and the werewolf and the Bride and White and the future TV and the board game. Just so many ideas and they land. Lots of fun, inventive moments here, and I do think it's well directed by Gary Doberman. That scene where the ferryman is in the hallway is really effective. I love that scene with the color wheel and Annabelle transforming. This movie is just such a fun watch that I could watch in any mood. So yeah, I like the cast. They bring some light energy here, so this movie, really fun. Then we've got The Nun 2, which is Michael Chavez's biggest accomplishment because this movie is scary. This movie is well directed. I love the gothic vibe it has, and it definitely gets to me on more than a couple occasions. Like, that magazine stand scene is an all-timer in my books. That scene, well, Valak is in the stairway and then the door opens up and she vanishes, but she still kind of looks like she's there. I love the big demon goat finale. It's just campy and fun, and like I said, I like the kitchen sink. I also thought there was some really great character development here. The story of Maurice and Kate and Sophie actually was investing, and I cared about these characters. So when Maurice starts to lose himself in the worst way possible, I felt some real dramatic weight. So the movie's fun, it's creepy, it's emotional. I think it's really well directed and acted. I still like Tisa Farmiga and Storm Reed here. So yeah, this is just a blast of a film, so that's why it's number 4. Number 3 is Annabelle Creation. And I don't think this movie gets enough credit for just how mean it is. The story of Janice and Linda is tragic. Like, you've got these two girls who kind of get bullied. One of them can't walk properly and is really sick. And they just get tormented by this demon. And nobody really believes her. And she ends up getting possessed and losing her soul. And I don't know, I actually find this movie to be heartbreaking. It really hits me in the feels, and I kind of like how this movie is willing to go to those dark places. It's also incredibly well directed by David F. Sandberg. Like, this movie is terrifying, and there's so many fun, inventive moments here. My favorite of which is when Janice is in the stair chair, and it's creeping back up towards the darkness. Just, ugh. And I also love the way this movie connects to the first Annabelle movie. It kind of makes that movie better in retrospect. So yeah, like, this is one of the greatest prequels ever. Oh, and the puppet scene is really scary. And I love the scarecrow. And I love the scene where she's like, "What do you want?" "Your soul!" Love this movie, so great. This movie is just phenomenal. So that's why it's number 3. My second favorite is The Conjuring, and I'll never forget watching this movie for the first time and just how badly it shook me up. That Annabelle opening is an all-timer, and it just makes an a brand new horror icon like that. And the rest of the movie is also really scary. I like the backstory of Bathsheba and this curse that she places upon this land. I cared about the family here, and I think Lily Taylor and Juan Livingston do a great job. And it's just such a well-directed movie. Like, the way James Wan handles tension and jump scares is just pitch perfect. The scene where Lorraine falls into the basement is terrifying. The scene where Bathsheba is on the wardrobe is terrifying. The scene where Bathsheba is in the mom's room is terrifying. But I think the scariest moment of this movie is when one of the girls sees Bathsheba in the corner of the room, and we don't, and she's just crying, and it's a scene that actually, like, affects me on a very deep level. Like, Joy King's performance there is honestly Oscar worthy, and I don't feel like she gets the recognition she deserves for this movie. And Mackenzie Foy also does a great job. Like, if you want a haunted house movie, this is pretty much almost as good as it gets. It just fully delivers, and it's so much fun, and it's terrifying, and I love Ed and Lorraine Warren's characters here, and yeah, that's why it's number 2. But my favorite, and this is in my top 20 movies of all time, it's The Conjuring 2. This movie is the second scariest movie ever made, just behind Insidious. Valak is a terrifying villain, and there's so many great moments here where Belle's in the corner of the girl's room when she's watching TV and Belle appears behind her. This is my house! Oh my goodness, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. The Crooked Man scene, the scene with Valak and the painting is maybe the scariest scene ever. Like, that scene terrifies me, and I love the opening at Amityville. Yeah, like, this movie is just relentless, and it's non-stop, but it's also a bit more campier than the first movie in a way that feels really refreshing, but it's also a really sweet love story. The characters of Ed and Lorraine are developed so well here, and I love hearing their story, and I love that scene where Ed is singing to the kids some Elvis, and it's just a really beautifully done scene. This movie looks and sounds terrific. It's just pitch perfect direction from James Wan, and I also really care about this family. So, like, as far as I'm concerned, this is one of the greatest horror movies, one of the greatest movies ever, period. I love it so very much, and that's why it's number 1. But what's your ranking of the Conjuring franchise? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin out.